Alrighty, what is up, everyone? I'm DJ Bandana M, the host of Tenderness is All We've Got, from 3 to 4 p.m. on Monday afternoons, only on Vaquero Radio Station, the Valley Student Station. Alrighty, we're gonna get right into some music, starting now. Alrighty, how are y'all doing this afternoon? My name is DJ Bandana M, and y'all are listening to Tenderness is All We've Got, my program from 3 to 4 p.m. on Monday afternoons. So if you were not able to tune in last week, I'll give y'all the scoop on what to expect from my program. First off, I personally believe in the direct correlation between music and our moods and feelings and emotions. And so it's pretty simple. Like when you listen to a music that's inspired by love, it'll obviously inspire love within you, and then you're able to go throughout your day, each and every interaction, and it'll be through that love. So yeah, for 1 hour between 3 to 4 p.m., we're going to embrace tenderness through music, and it'll be music that spans multiple genres. And yeah, so today, first song I played was Assumptions by Sam Gellatry. He is a 24-year-old electronic producer out of Scotland, and he's somewhat of a prodigy. And I say that because he's been professionally producing, and I do say professionally, for about 10 years now, so since he was 14 or 15 years old. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it's been at a high quality as well, so that's the cool part. He's very well respected within the electronic community. And one cool thing that I didn't know about him until recently is that he has synesthesia, which is basically the blending of senses. More specifically, he has chromesthesia, which is being able to see and experience sound as color. So, like, C minor is purple to him, F minor is red, so he's able to arrange his music accordingly. And when I first heard that, I thought that makes sense because his music's so bright and colorful, and it pops. Sam G is really cool, and I respect his music because he's able to kind of bridge the gap between electronic music and hip hop, and it's almost effortlessly. Like, it flows so well. I think it's probably going to be the progression of trap music. It's where trap is headed. That'll be more electronic than hip hop based. That was off of his EP titled Four, and it's four Roman numerals. But he's put out quite an amount of projects. Most of them are on his SoundCloud. The second song I played was going to be Dreaming's Out of Season, and that was by the Montclairs. The Montclairs were a group out of St. Louis, I believe. They had one song. They did not have very much success as a group. It was off their album Dreaming's Out of Season, 1972, and that was the only album they made, and then they split up shortly after. I don't think any of the members had very much success, like solo careers. I think the only one might have been Phil Perry, but he went more towards R&B as the decades went on. But most of their music's just, that one album is just like heartbreak ballads. It's very beautiful music. But yeah, up next we're gonna play some indie music, some R&B. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to Tenderness is All We've Got. I'm your host, DJ Bandana M. So right off that break, I played some indie music, and it was Love Stained by Hope Tala. And she is a very exciting singer, songwriter, someone that whenever she drops music, I'm listening to it as quickly as I can. That was off of her EP in 2019 by the name of Sensitive Soul. So she's a 24-year-old based out of London, England. And I first heard her in 2019, although she was making music a few years before that. And I immediately fell in love because her sound it's so different. It's nothing that I had heard then and nothing that I've heard now. It's like R&B based, but there's also indie influences, Latin influences, pop, soul, neo soul especially. So it's a wonderful sound. She released a single this past year in February called Party Sickness, and it's an absolute bop. It's probably one of my favorite songs of this year so far. And the last album she released was in 2020, so I'm expecting some new music from her within the next few months. Second song I played out of that break was Bria's Interlude by my all-time favorite rapper, Heartbreak Drake, Drizzy. I love him, absolutely adore him. And so that was off of his 2009 mixtape, So Far Gone. And it's probably what made him very popular, skyrocketed him, because it did have that single, Best I Ever Had, which everyone on earth knows. It's an absolute banger. Oh my gosh. But I know y'all are probably wondering, DJ Bandana M, what are your favorite Drake interludes in order of importance? Number one, Bria's interlude. Number two, CeCe's interlude, and that's off of his album Thank Me Later. Number three is a tie, and it's between Cameras, Good Ones Go, and that's off of Take Care, and the tie that it's tied with is Summer's Over interlude, and that's off of Views. And then after that, it's kind of shaky. Like, I don't really care about Wednesday Night interlude. That one's with Party Next Door. It's fine. And then there's Georgia interlude, which is fine as well. And then Buried Alive interlude, which is off of Take Care. People do not remember that Kendrick Lamar had a feature on Take Care because that song is so horrible, everyone skips over it. Which is terrible because Drake and Kendrick are like some of the greatest rappers of our time. So it's weird for them to have made a song that was so terrible. But I do love when Drake kind of goes R&B, and that's the side that I wanted to showcase. It was my first Drake song. I was really excited. I didn't know which to pick. But yeah, I do love when he goes R&B. I saw him with my brother in 2018 on his Scorpion tour.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was for my brother's 15th birthday. I drove him up to Houston, and he did a rendition, or he did like a slow down version of Jaded, and his singing was just off the wall. Like, it was really cool. It really made me more appreciate his singing, because he popularized like singing and rapping, and so yeah, I absolutely love Drake. I'll be playing more of him for sure. And the song that I played after that was Heads or Tails by Winona Forever. It was off their 2019 album Feel Good, and I actually own that album on vinyl. It's one of the records from like this decade that I own. I don't buy very many new vinyl, but it's pretty cool. I first heard them though, and it was that song Heads or Tails. It was a single that they released the year before, so I heard them in 2018. And they're an indie pop band from Canada. They make really cool music, and the thing that I like most about them is that it's very playful, their sound, but it's also at the same time like very mellow, which I think it's attributed to the way they produce. And so they produce their music, it's self-produced in their home. So they have a home studio, and it just sounds like genuine. It's really cool music. Up next, though, we've got some more indie. We have some soft rock, so I'm going to be playing some America. And then we'll be doing a salute. We'll be doing some Strokes as well, which is probably one of my favorite bands. So we'll get right into that. Y'all stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to Tenderness is All We've Got. I'm your host, DJ Bandana M. Now, the songs that I played out of that break were first Jealousy by Chicano Batman, and they are kind of like a Latin indie band. The group is out of East LA, and that was off their album Freedom is Free in 2017. Now, I first heard Chicano Batman, it was about 2016, and I heard their album Cycles of Existential Rhyme, and that was their sophomore album, although it did come out in 2014, so I heard it a few years after it came out. And their sound was like nothing I had heard of at that point, and still there's not too many people that have blended indie and Latin music. So it's really cool what they were doing, and they're still doing it. I saw them in concert a few years ago. I believe it was 2018. I saw them with my boyfriend in Austin, Texas. I forget the venue that we were at, but it was the day before Halloween, so we went in our Halloween costumes to the concert, and it was a great time. Their opener was Khruangbin, who I absolutely love. I'll be playing them probably next week or the week after. They're a really cool band. But Chicano Batman came out in pastel, like frilly tuxedos, and they're playing the organ on stage. It was a blast. The second song I played out of that break was Tin Man by America, and it was off of their fourth studio album, Holiday, in 1974. But they had been making music years prior to that. They had their success mostly in the UK when they first started, so that was in 1970, 71. And their first hit was A Horse with No Name. And so when America jumped over to America, lol, that song exploded on the charts, and it was off of their first album, America, titled America. But yeah, in 1972, that song was able to win them Best New Artist Grammy, and then they went on to make a bunch of albums after that. I know their second album, Homecoming, was in 1972, and that had Ventura Highway, which is one of their greatest hits. And then off of their fifth studio album, Hearts, in 1975, they had Sister Golden Hair, which I talked about last week. And it's one of my favorite songs. It's very beautiful. But yeah, they're actually going to be at the Payne Arena. They're playing a concert this Saturday, I believe. And I didn't know that until just yesterday. My mom had told me that they were playing. If I had known earlier, I would have got tickets. And I would have not worked on Saturday. I would have scheduled or swapped with someone. But yeah, they're really cool what they're doing. And they've released music into the, to the 90s, 2000. But it was mostly like live versions of their songs and like Christmas albums and stuff like that. So they're still obviously touring and playing their music, which is really cool because it's been quite a few decades already. Up next, I'll be playing some more indie music. I'll be playing a little bit of R&B. I'll be also playing some Brazilian soul, which would be pretty cool if y'all stick around. Alrighty, so we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Alrighty, welcome back to Tenderness is All We've Got. This is your host, DJ Bandana M. Now, out of that break, I had played One Way Trigger by The Strokes. It was off of their 2013 album, Come Down Machine. And so I mentioned last week how my siblings are 8 to 10 years older than me. And so when I was in elementary or middle school, they were in high school and college. And so what they were listening to at the time, what was popular in the mid-2000s, was what I was listening to as a kid. And so, my favorite bands in elementary going into middle school were the Shins, the Strokes, and Band of Horses. So the Strokes are one of those bands that have just been very consistent over time. They had their first album in 2001, I believe, and it was Is This It? They had another one right after that, 2003, and that was A Room Is on Fire. Everyone's probably familiar with Reptilia because it was on Guitar Hero 3, so everyone knows that bass line by heart. But yeah, they're very consistent. Their album, Come Down Machine, I don't believe it gets as much recognition as it should. It's a pretty concise album. The song that I played, One Way Trigger, is a bop. The one right after that on that track is called Welcome to Japan. It's a really great song as well. And the closer on that song, or on that album, is Call It Fate, Call It Karma. And that's a really great song. I encourage y'all, if you'd like to, after this hour is over, go ahead and look at their album, Come Down Machine. It's really great. They released an album 2 years ago, 2020, called The New Abnormal. It was really good. I have not listened to all of it, though, in its entirety, but the tracks that I did hear off of that album, probably the more popular tracks, they were really great. Second song I played out of that break was Torn by LaToya, and it was a single in 2006, R&B hit. And one thing, a cool fact that I did not know about LaToya Luckett was she was one of the original members of Destiny's Child. And yeah, I did not know that at all. I thought it was, honestly, I thought it was just Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle the entire time. But no, it was Latoya, and she was actually, even before Destiny's Child, she was on their group Girls' Time. And so if you've ever heard the original Flawless, that Beyonce track, the opening clip is one of the singing competitions therein, and it mentions Girls' Time. So fun fact. But yeah, Latoya was on the first Destiny's Child album, which was entitled Destiny's Child, and that was in 1998. And she was also on the second album, which is probably one of their more popular albums, Writings on the Wall, and that was in 1999, a year after. And that had hits like Bills, 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 Say My Name, Jumpin', Jumpin', So Good. And that album is obviously a classic. So that was a cool thing I did not know about Latoya Luckett. Up next, I have some Brazilian soul, and it's going to be Tim Maia, which is arguably one of the most recognizable faces in Brazilian music. He was popular and became popular because he fused American soul with like Brazilian elements, so like samba and other elements like that. He started making music in like the 60s, and it spanned all the way to the 90s. So it's obviously decades that he drew influences from all types of music. So it's obviously American soul, but there's also funk, disco elements. His music is really beautiful. And one of the last songs I'm going to play today is going to be Through the Wire by Kanye West, and it's off of his first album, The College Dropout, in 2004. I just wanted to kind of like highlight that track because it's just kind of beautiful and the message behind it. And so everyone knows, or most people know, that Kanye West was in an accident in 2002, and he broke his jaw in like 3 different places. And so 2 weeks after that accident, so his jaw was wired shut after that accident. And 2 weeks after that accident, he went into the studio and he recorded Through the Wire. Yeah, so the story goes that as he was recording, he has to go in and out of the studio to take pain medication. Yeah, so crazy backstory. It makes you appreciate the song even much more. And you can definitely hear that there's a strained element, like as he's rapping. It's a really great song. But yeah, like the last couple bars off of that track are turn tragedy to triumph, spit music that's fire, spit my soul through the wire, which is just, it's as a high schooler hearing that, it just all kind of clicks, especially when you know the backstory of that song. So I'm gonna get into it. Y'all enjoy. Alrighty, so that's a wrap for this episode of Tenderness Is All We've Got. I hope you've enjoyed tuning in for the hour, and hopefully you're back here with me next Monday from 3 to 4 p.m. Remember, Tenderness Is All We've Got, only here on Vaquero Radio Station, the Valley Student Station.